Hello, welcome back to Average Home Theater. I'm Nelson, and I am joined by the esteemed Dominic from Katy, Texas. How's it going, Dominic?
Going good. Glad to be back.
Yeah, your summer vacation's winding down. Teachers actually have to go do some work now.
Yeah, it's getting
Yeah.
towards the end of that.
So those rough 10-week vacations in the summertime. I just got
No,
back from a 1 week vacation. It was glorious.
yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, like I said before, it's nice to reset and then come back fresh. Um, I'm blessed to be in a job that lets you like restart, because it's
Yeah.
like every year you get to restart and try it better.
And like
then
I
before
said,
you know it,
I like to break your balls a little bit, but I worked in
yeah,
the school system as a resource officer with the PD, and it's definitely needed. There's no doubt that those those summer breaks are definitely needed for the students and the teachers. I mean, it's definitely it's needed.
yeah. I'm glad to have my job, but it's you need that light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm. Well, we're finally here. We are getting to discuss one of my favorite, if not my favorite, horror movie of all time,
Wow.
1996, From Dusk Till Dawn. And this is a first time watch for Dominic, so I'm going to let him take the lead and we're just going to feed off of each other because that's how we do. We don't have plans here. We just kind of do things. So, anyway, so first of all, did you enjoy it?
I did like it. Yes, I did like it.
Ah, that's not good enough.
Well, the only thing that sucks is like I have to make sure nobody's around me when I have it on.
What are you talking about? It's a family movie.
No,
I mean, you can definitely tell it's written by Quentin, though. I
oh yeah,
mean, there's no doubt it's his movie. I mean, it has his style and flavor all over it. Lots of
totally.
cursing and very violent, but also humor. It's like dark
Hmm.
humor, um, character development all the way. It's just it's a to me it's a wonderfully written
Right.
script.
Well, and
Um,
Tarantino's also like one of his other traits is he's oddly specific.
mhm.
Like yeah, all this chaos is going on, but I want to know why you called me a nut. Is it because
Yeah,
like is
yeah.
it because
You
like
called me a freaking nut.
he's
And
like
where I come from,
I just want you to be cool. He goes, no, Dad, but you implied that I have been a nut in the past. Like that whole little bit. And that's just one example of what he does. I love how, yeah, all this is going on, but I'm worried about what he said.
mhm.
He does that a lot in his stuff.
But he was also proving that he was a freaking nut by reacting to him calling him a freaking nut.
Right, by being so worried about it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because that his character clearly should not be in society.
No, 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 no. But we'll get to that.
Um, yeah, but I growing up, born in the 80s, growing up in the 90s, it was in my peripheral. Like I knew Dust Till Dawn was some kind of horror thing. I knew Clooney was in it. And I had maybe seen a little shots of it here and there, but not enough to like materialize. So like I pretty much, like you said, went into it blind, other than knowing it existed. Um,
Did you
and
know it was vampires?
not specifically, no.
Okay.
And that this movie, man, it was something, man. And so this is also like Clooney at the beginning of his career.
Well, I don't know about the beginning, but very early. It was pretty early because he was
Yeah.
actually in like really cheesy horror movies in the like mid 80s. So at least 10 years prior to this, he was, kind of coming up with things. And I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure ER had already started whenever let me check.
It
Whenever
was
he did
around this
this.
time. And I remember this is like showing my age too. Like he was on Roseanne. He was like
Yep.
he was like a background character. I just remember seeing his long mullet. Yeah.
Yeah, ER was 94. So he had been doing ER for 2 years prior to
Okay.
this movie coming out. But I think, he was mostly known for ER, which is television. So I guess maybe
Hmm.
you could say this is one of his breakout film roles, I don't know.
Right. Well, and I honestly, I'll see if you agree with me. I like this Clooney better. This is like a gritty Clooney and
Oh, he's
unhinged
great.
Clooney.
He was great.
Not yeah, not Hollywoodized like now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he touched this. Like he's more known for like those Oscar type of films, I feel like. As you know, like Syriana and Michael Clayton, you know, like those
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
more highbrow, I guess. But I like this Clooney better. This is like a down and dirty Clooney.
Oh, this is by far, I mean, I think between this and Ocean's 11 are my two, because I'm not a
That's a good one too.
huge George Clooney person.
Yeah, me
Um,
neither.
but this movie and Ocean's 11 I like a lot.
Yeah,
Um, but
that's a good
this
one
one's my
too.
favorite. Like his character Seth Gecko is just he's phenomenal. Actually, everybody in this movie is great. There's not
Yeah.
one actor in this movie that's bad.
It feels real, man. It had my attention the whole time. I was focused, hanging on every word. Like I had texted you. I felt like I was in the movie.
Hmm.
Like it just pulled. I wasn't distracted. I was like, what the heck is going on? Because as soon as I kind of had it figured out, I was like, oh, okay, this is like a guys on the run kidnapping thing, Bonnie and Clyde. And then the middle of the movie, about 45 minutes in, it's like, no, 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 no. This is the movie.
Hmm.
It's two movies in one. I love how Tarantino did that. You know, it's like I said, Bonnie and Clyde on the run with the
Hmm.
unhinged brother, and then it's uh, we accidentally walked into hell.
Right. What do they call those? Uh
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like not genre matching, but like
no, I'm talking about whenever it's like a survive the night type movie, a siege movie. It's like a siege
yeah,
movie
yeah.
where they're stuck in one place and they can't get out. They have to survive, until the next day or until help gets there. And these are some of my favorite types of movies.
Yeah.
I love a siege movie.
Twists and turns, man. And kind of going back to Clooney's character, I love like the focus he has in his eyes, the tattoos, and then he always has his head cocked,
Hmm.
like even on the poster. Like, and that I love that. I love that trait about him. Like he's always like ready, and he has a moral code. Like as we get further into it, he has a
Yeah.
moral code. But um, I know we did the intro videos uh a few months ago or a few months back. This could have been a contender. This opening,
Oh, it is. And I thought about it.
yeah,
It's a very good intro, but most Quentin Tarantino movies you could put in
yeah,
that. And that's why I
that's
went
true.
with what you call it, Inglorious
Re-
Bastards. Um,
and Reservoir,
and
uh,
well, I think I mentioned Reservoir
that was like
Dogs.
an
I
honorable,
don't
yeah.
remember, but either way, you could put damn near every Quentin Tarantino movie because he loves his opening scenes. Obviously, he likes to
Yeah.
get your attention. But the
No, that was
directing
good.
by Robert Rodriguez,
Hmm.
the over-the-top action, does a lot of it doesn't make any sense. It's nonsensical. It's stupid, but it just for this movie it works. All that craziness just works.
Yeah, and he needs credit too because I feel like Tarantino definitely it wouldn't be what it is, but Rodriguez I feel like brought a lot of that grindhouse to it too,
Hmm.
that grindhouse feel. Because prior to this, I back in the day, these movies are probably 15 years old now, but I remember that double feature they did
Oh,
with
Grindhouse.
Death
Yeah, yeah.
Proof
Hmm.
and yeah, Death Proof and
Planet
Planet
Terror.
Terror. Yeah, so that was the Robert Rodriguez I knew is from doing like stuff like that. Um,
Oh, so you watch those?
it yeah, I did watch. Yeah, I had seen Death Proof and Planet Terror. I've seen both
Okay,
of those.
I love them.
Um, well, and this I think this is how I got into it. I know I wasn't a huge horror guy, but I have always watched Tarantino movies.
Hmm.
So that's how I saw Planet Terrors because uh, Tarantino did the other part of it, the Death Proof
Yeah,
one.
my wife and I saw um, that at the theater. It was pretty awesome to
Oh, that's
watch it
cool.
because they had an intermission, so you got to go use the bathroom and stuff in between, and they had the little fake trailers and all that good stuff.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but
Which they
it
made into a
was
movie.
right. It was some of them. It was a
Yeah,
little over, or it was right at 3 hours for the two movies with everything. But we had
that's
fun. I
cool.
mean,
No, that's really
and I
cool.
you could tell my wife we had just started dating, or it was early on in our relationship, and she was trying to impress me because now she won't watch anything like that, especially horror movies. She hates horror movies.
You know what's funny is with my wife, she'll still go see some of the stuff with me, but she saw more of like the comic book and the sci-fi stuff, more of that when we were dating. Like I took her to freaking everything from like, early 2000s to, up until a few years ago.
Man, my camera, I don't know why it keeps doing that, but it's making me mad.
No, yeah, and actually my wife and I just went to see our own double feature because it's hard to get out with the kids. So we saw Deadpool and Twisters.
Mm-hmm. Twisters was
back.
good.
That was fun.
I enjoyed it. I did my little mini review on it, but it's a fun little movie. So
yeah, it was fun.
From Dusk Till Dawn, the opening. So you got old Earl McGraw, who
the Ranger, right?
The Ranger, and he's also the Ranger in he plays the same character in Kill Bill. And then he plays the same character in Planet Terror and Death Proof.
So I'll have to go back and watch those because obviously I watched those years before I saw this. Yeah. So,
but he plays, it's the same guy in all the movies. So
that's hilarious.
Michael Parks is the actor's name.
Okay,
but he plays Ranger Earl McGraw.
Yeah, that was cool, and I like how I mean, later they tell you it's Texas. But when he first walks in, you see a Texas greeting on the postcard. And I was like, oh, okay. And I mean, obviously the cowboy hat and stuff, you can assume. But I like that opening, that little convenience store. Like, it's a character itself. All the old stuff that, I mean, it wasn't old at the time, but now it looks old looking back on that.
Their conversation is good and how he was trying to be cool. And George Clooney says, everybody be cool. You be cool. I love that line.
Yeah, and they're already in the store. So like stuff happened before the camera started rolling. Yep. They're already in the store with the girl. Oh, and real quick, I like how Michael Parks says, I got to go drain the lizard, obviously, but talking about his thing, but they call it the Gecko Brothers. Lizard Gecko. I thought that was cool. I've seen the movie
about 100 times. I never even put that together.
That's why I'm here for
it may just be a happy accident, Who knows?
Well, being Tarantino, though, like he probably, you know what I mean? Like he's very narrow-minded like that. Everything he puts in there. But that opening is really amazing. Like you said, he goes to the restroom, they come out, and then they're arguing about what to do with the clerk, and pretty bloody opening, right?
Yeah, so he goes back and he's claiming that that McGraw is saying help us and all that good stuff, and you can tell George Clooney really doesn't believe him, but he okay, it's his brother, and then he comes out and kills him, and then they end up in the shootout and all that good stuff. But that's where you really realize, okay, Quentin Tarantino, his character Richard is a complete nut job.
Right.
Complete nut job, because he made up the whole thing. He just wanted to kill the Ranger. And you realize later, maybe he's not making it up. He actually saw, like in his mind, he was whispering, he was mouthing the words, help us, but he really wasn't. But he's so damn crazy that's what he saw.
And you're referencing later when he thinks the girl says that thing to him, which I'm not going to repeat.
Which you're not going to repeat. The show is PG-13 at the most.
But he thinks, so it's like if you're in Tarantino's mind, his character, he thinks people are saying this, but they're not. So it's like, dude, this dude is definitely got special needs. Like there's stuff going on. And
I don't know if it's special needs, but he's a psycho.
Well, yeah, because nuts. He really thinks that stuff's happening.
Yeah.
That's not. It's weird. And then Clooney says, I believe you. He's like, you're just saying that. Like,
shut the F up and get in the car. I believe you.
And then in the shootout, Tarantino gets shot in the hand. And he's like fixated looking at his hand, like with all this stuff going on. And then they're arguing as the
I told you, he said, help us.
That's and then the store's blowing up. But they're like,
once they're walking out, so they
the
set him on
thing
fire.
They're worried about. Yeah.
Low profile. Do you understand the meaning of low profile? Dude, I can quote this movie, so we can just keep going.
No, it's great. And then you find out they were just supposed to go in there to get a postcard. I mean,
Just
a
go in there
map
and get a map. That's all
because
he
they
had to
didn't
do.
have phones. Yeah,
The way he looked at us, especially you, I knew he knew.
that was something, man. And then that's when the opening credits roll, and that gives you that Grindhouse feel, how the titles come up. And by the way, great title. I love that title.
From Dusk Till Dawn, yeah, you with your titles.
Yeah, and it's relevant too, though, to the rest of the film. And then you see there's a woman in the truck, and I like how everything in this movie is like used and dirty, like everything. There's nothing. Everything's rusted. Everything's run down.
I like that they used a Mercury Cougar. You never see Mercury Cougars in anything.
That's a good point.
That's like a 67 Cougar that they're in, which those old Mercury Cougars were basically Mustangs. It was just the Mercury version of the Mustang, just so the body just looked a little different, but it was pretty much a Mustang. But
right, it was like their version.
I appreciate stuff like that. I'm a car guy, so it was neat seeing that.
I'm glad you brought that up because now that you say that, like
cool,
you
that's
never
a badass
see that.
car. Yeah, that's a cool car.
That's awesome. So basically, after this,
after the credits, they show up at the hotel, and so they get the room, they get the woman in there, all that good stuff, and they start talking about what they're gonna do.
Right.
Trying to get to Mexico. That's where you find out that they're trying to get to Mexico.
Right. You learn they're on the run. That's their goal, to get out of there. There's a guy named, I think, Carlos, that's supposed to pick them up that next morning. Or
is his name Carlos? Hello, I'm looking for my friend Seth. That's what he says at the end. Yeah, Carlos.
Carlos, yeah. Who he plays 3 characters. I didn't know that was going to happen. That was interesting. Just because I know that's Cheech. So, or is that Chong? That's
Cheech. That's Cheech Marin.
That's Cheech. Okay,
they probably just didn't have any of that. I'll do it. We need a border patrol agent. I'll do it.
Yeah, that was cool how he has and he does look different. Like if you don't know the actor, I don't think you'd maybe catch it the first time you watch it. But so yeah, you find that that's what's going to happen, and then we meet our other leads.
Meet the family, the Fuller family.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on them?
I love them. I like the fact that he's a faithless preacher. It brings, it gives him a character arc to come back to. The fact that Juliette Lewis is brilliant. I love Juliette Lewis. She's just quirky and weird enough to do lots of different things. And she plays the little, even though she's much older than, I think she's supposed to be like 17 or 18 in this movie. So yeah, I like the Fullers, and the fact that Scott is adopted, and they don't really get into it. It's just, hey, that's his son,
right. And I like how
touch on that a little bit later when he's like, how the hell does that happen? You don't look Japanese. Neither does he. He looks Chinese.
And then Clooney's like, okay.
Oh, excuse the hell out of me.
That was good. And obviously this movie's 8 years later or something like that. But Mel Gibson in Signs, similar type of character where it's a faithless preacher where over the course of the film, he finds himself again. But I like that, you understand why he's mad at God because his wife, his wife's died. You don't find out exactly how it happened till later, but his wife died. So they're basically, on the road and
just trying to get some R&R, just kind of traveling the country. And
right.
Of course, they come across, as Clooney says, a couple of real mean motor scooters.
You do know this. Yeah.
And they get basically, I guess, kidnapped, for lack of a better term. They get kidnapped into, hey, you're going to be our cover to get into Mexico.
Right. And right before that, when Clooney leaves Tarantino and he comes back with the burgers, and then he's going to give a burger.
We skipped over that. Yeah.
What did you think about? I saw this movie at the theater. Okay.
My cousin
Okay.
Glenn took me and my brother to see it. So I was 16, my brother was 14. So that's a perfect movie for a 14 and 16-year-old to go watch, even though I'd seen far worse before.
Right. I'd say
But we
16's all right, but 14, that's kind of young for this.
ah,
Yeah.
it's fine. So we went watching the theater. So I was just like in awe the whole time. I had never seen
Right.
anything like this. I mean, I'd seen horror movies, but I had never seen a Quentin Tarantino movie before. So this
Uh-huh.
was all kind of eye-opening to me. But yeah, I remember thinking, holy crap, he killed that woman. And I loved the way they showed not showing it, or the way they
Yeah.
chose to show it with
We,
just the little flashes. And
yeah, that was creepy.
yeah, it was.
And how they did that. And do you notice the Karen Tarantino wants her feet on the? He tells her to take her shoes off.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because he has a thing with feet. Like
that's my boy right there, bro. What else can you say? You know. Um,
but um
and I
but yeah.
wonder. I've always wondered. Well, I say always. I recently started wondering, as I've gotten older and understand
Mm-hmm.
things a little bit better, if the reason why they did that was the scene so bloody that they would have gotten a different rating than R, and they were told by the rating system, okay, you can't show all of this. So they're like, okay,
Oh,
well, we'll
because of
show it really
later.
fast. And then you kind of get a glimpse when Clooney turns around and the
Yeah,
kid, you kind of see a little bit in the background, but they never really zoom in and show it. So
you're
I don't
right.
know if that, or maybe it was just an artistic choice. They thought it would be neater to to do it that way. But either way, it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way they did it that way though, because you don't really know everything and
Mhm.
it keeps you more interested in okay,
You
what's
just
going on?
know it's grotesque. Whatever he did
Right.
is terrible.
And around this time, you get that news report where it really fills in the rest of it. They're basically bank robbers on the run. They accidentally killed some cops in the robbery, and they've been on the run ever since.
Right. Well,
Is
you also learn that he's a serial rapist, basically, is what he is. Uh,
the brother?
Richard.
Yes,
Yeah.
Richard. Yeah. Um. So yeah, you learn all that, and then that's pretty soon after that is when the two groups join.
Hmm.
Um.
And he,
And
once again, you see it when he sees what's her name, and she's like, Richie,
mhm.
would you do me a favor?
Yeah.
And he's like, sure. And everybody's like, hey, who, who you talking to? Yeah.
Yeah, the dude, he's in his own world, man. Um, and so they join, they get in the RV, and Clooney's basically godfathering the situation. He's like, everybody, shut up, follow my lead. He's kind of taking control of it. And that whole scene when they get up to the border patrol, I thought
Hmm.
was really well done.
It's very intense, huh?
Yeah, it's intense. And then they're almost good. And then basically they're going, Harvey Keitel and his family's going along with it because they'll get killed if you don't follow. But if they do
Hmm.
follow him, he's going to let them free. Um,
Or so
and
he says, but they
right.
made a gentleman's agreement and Jacob believes him. Like he
Yeah,
really believes that, okay, if we just help him get across the border, he's gonna let us go.
right. And I mean, you get the sense that Clooney doesn't want any more heat on him.
Hmm.
So, I think that's believable, especially if you're stressed and scared. But then the agent, they're almost good. And then he hears a noise. They cover it by the girl being in the bathroom.
Hmm.
But Tarantino's character almost blows it. And I love how Clooney just pops him.
Yeah.
And then later when he wakes up,
What
he's like, oh,
happened?
yeah.
I
And
don't
then
know.
he's
You
like, oh, you
just you
fell.
fell like a sack of potatoes.
And then he's like, what about my glasses? And he's like, we'll get new ones in Mexico. He's like, there's no hole in the wall going to know my prescription.
He said like some spick doctor is
Yeah.
what he said. It's like some spick doctor's gonna have my prescription.
Yeah. And he's
Not
just
a
trying
big
to
deal
shut him
until
up.
you make it a big deal.
Yeah.
But before the way when he or after he knocked him out, and Cheech Marin, knocks on the door
Mm-hmm.
and she's pretending to use the bathroom. Your boy Cheech Marin, like he goes to close the door and he's like,
Yeah. He like lingers. Yeah.
pervert.
I know. I totally believe that.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
the guys that are working that. Yeah.
It's just
Um,
also brilliantly done. I don't know. I just love it.
well, and it's those subtle little moments that make it feel like real,
Hmm.
Another movie might have cut it quicker or something, or not even had them do it. And I like how when Clooney's having that conversation with Harvey Keitel in the front of the car when he's like, "What happened to your wife?" All this stuff. Like he feels he's a good actor, man. Clooney it feels like this is really happening. Like he would kind of just, well, there's nothing to do. Let me talk to you a little bit, you know? And then of course he's keeping an eye on his brother with the kids, which is a horrible idea. Having him kind of watch the kids. But yeah,
he starts fantasizing about the girl and Dingy Woman by Stevie Ray Vaughan's brother plays, and it's just, of course, the shot starts at her feet and then it goes up, you know. Of course
right, another feet thing,
you know.
Yeah.
And
that's
all of that
really,
stuff is good.
You know, that's good, and that's really the first half of the movie. Like I looked at the time, it was like 45 minutes in. All that, like that's a movie, and then the second part of the movie is completely different.
Well, after they get, so before we go too far, after they get to, so once they get through to Mexico, he's all Clooney's excited, and he's like,
"Oh, okay, I love his expression. He's so excited." And
we're in Mexico, you little piece of.
Yeah, but he's like, "We made it!" Like and I felt good that they made it. And I'm like, man, I shouldn't.
Why am I rooting for this?
I'm excited for Clooney because he made it through, and like he's like, yeah, because he's seeing it as a fresh start. Like I really think Clooney wants to like have his money and like try to do better, you know, because you get the feeling that he robbed the people because he needed the money. Like he said before, I only kill if I have to. Like I don't rape women, all that stuff. Like he has a moral code. He's not a nutcase like his brother. So I really feel like he's like, okay, this is like a new me, fresh start. And he's so excited, and I'm like happy they made it across, even though I shouldn't be. So that's just good acting and storytelling that I'm like on the ride with these guys.
So yeah, so then he's like, okay, where do I go now? He's like, well, you're gonna go down this road until you get to De Gallo. When you get to De Gallo, you're gonna turn this big bastard left, and then you're gonna come to a bar called the Titty Twister. And from what I understand, you can't miss it. And he goes, then what? Then you stop, because that's where we're going.
Right. And their buddy's going to be there in the morning. They just have to kind of hang out there at night. I'm sure they assumed it's probably a little rough, but oh my gosh. So they get in there. Oh,
well, hold on, you go a little too fast. So they drive up, and then She's Just Killing Me by ZZ Top starts playing, which is a great song, by the way. So that song starts playing, and then you see the motorcycle gangs, and there's literally a titty being pinched on the outside of the building. There's other inappropriate things,
right?
And then you have Cheech Marin saying, you know, coochie,
it's literally
coochie, come on in, coochie lovers, you know, which he's not saying coochie,
right?
But it's
Biff's future, alternate 1985.
It does. It's kind of like Biff's Casino. Yeah. Yeah. So then you're thinking, like, where is this going? You know, this is because I didn't know. Maybe I did know it was a vampire movie. I don't remember. I don't remember if I knew it was a vampire movie going in or not.
If you knew,
it was a horror movie,
you probably forgot, because the first 45 minutes have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very clever. It's like they had two ideas and they just mashed them together.
So they get inside, and then now I remember this vividly, of course. You go in, and then there's music playing. There's lots of topless women dancing, and for a 16-year-old boy, this is the greatest movie he's ever seen. You know, like I love this movie.
Right.
You get introduced to Danny Trejo, who's the bartender,
and he looks young.
Well, I mean, this movie's 30 years old, dude.
Yeah, like it was weird for me seeing a young Danny Trejo.
If Danny Trejo is what? I think he's almost 80. He's right at 80 years old. So he was about 50, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, my birthday's tomorrow. I'm going to be 44 tomorrow. So
happy birthday.
Thank you. So he was like 5 or 6 years older than I am right now when he made this movie. So
right. That's crazy.
Because I ain't old. I'm young.
Well, you know, like you could just tell instantly, like, dang, he looks a lot. Even though he was older, he still looked a lot younger.
And then the whole exchange where he's like, this bar is for bikers and truckers only. You get out. And so they have the big bouncer that lays his hand on Clooney and just pisses him off. I'm
Right.
gonna count to three. No, I'm gonna count to three. One, two. It's like, oh. And
Yeah.
of
And
course,
then,
Jacob comes in, the voice of reason, and
right.
says, look, you saying this is for truck drivers? I am a truck driver. And these are my
Right.
friends.
That was
Just
a
a great
perfect.
scene. Great scene.
No, and they're starting to have like a bond, even though they're
Right.
on opposite sides. And I liked that. Like,
Mhm.
it's kind of like if two people really aren't friends, but then they're in they have to they have to team up. It's like a natural instinct. And so
Because
I
even
like,
though you may not like these people, you know them. You've gotten to a point,
right.
okay, well, I kind of know these people, so I'm going to stick with this human nature. You stick with what you know. And they've been with
That's a
them
good way to say
for,
it.
24 hours or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And they've gotten through some things together. So it's like there's a little bit of a bond, like you said there. Even though there's
Right.
tension, there is a little bit of a bond.
Yeah. I liked that aspect in there. And so I mean they're kind of getting comfortable. He's making the kids take shots with them.
Yeah, they're
Uh
drinking. He tells Scott, "Hey, if you want a lap dance with that girl, just let me know. All right, kid." Um, all that good stuff.
and
You start to get introduced to characters like you see Frost, who is my man right here,
oh, that's all. Yeah.
Fred
That's
Fred Williamson. You see him playing dominoes, and he gets aggravated because the girl keeps knocking his dominoes off.
right.
And then you get introduced to the man himself. You see
That's
Sex Machine.
hilarious. He does the little lasso on
Yeah,
the.
now you understand why I got this one.
Yes, I didn't know before what it was. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and when he was signing it, he had just signed his name, and I was like, "Can you put Sex Machine?" He was like, "Oh, sure." He wrote Sex Machine for me. I couldn't not get Tom Savini's autograph and not put Sex Machine. Do you realize who Tom Savini is, by the way?
No.
Okay, this man is basically the godfather of horror makeup and special effects. He did
Oh,
all of the well, he was in charge of special effects for Friday the 13th, the first one, Dawn of the Dead. Like this guy,
wow.
a lot of things that are still being used today as far as makeup effects, like he created that. He's world famous. And so even though he's in a lot of movies as an actor,
Right.
he's world famous makeup artist. That's what he does.
Wow. And
He teaches. That's what there's you could go to a university. I don't know which one it is, but he's an instructor.
that's amazing. Wow. I
Yeah,
had no
man.
idea. So that's
Yeah,
really what he's known for. But
that's what
then
he's known
he
for.
was in the
He's
movie too because he probably wanted to
yeah.
be or
Have you
something.
ever been to Universal Studios Florida?
I haven't been to Universal Studios. No.
Okay, there they do a horror makeup show. You go in and it's like a little 20-minute show. He created the American Werewolf in London.
Uh huh.
They have the famous transformation scene where you see the man transform into a werewolf, and they used these hydraulic and the mask and stuff like that to show him like transforming into a werewolf. Tom
Right.
Savini created that.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's interesting. I had no idea about all that. That's
Hmm.
really cool. Um. So then he did. Does he like to star in a lot of the movies that he worked
I mean,
on?
he's in Planet Terror. He's one of the deputies. Michael
Okay.
Biehn is the sheriff, and
Yeah.
he's one of the deputies. He's like,
That's cool.
they bit off my freaking finger, and he's missing his finger, and then he puts his wedding ring on his nub. You don't remember this?
Dang. It's been like 10 years. I need to go back and revisit them now that I know all this inside baseball. That's awesome.
So after you get introduced to everybody, then here comes the real introduction of Santanico Pandemonium,
Dang, good job.
and that is where I fell head over heels in love with probably the most beautiful creature to ever walk the earth, and that would be Salma Hayek in 1996.
Yeah.
I mean, I challenge anyone to bring to me a competitor of Selma Hayek in her prime. Because
Right.
you're not going to convince me that there is anybody ever more gorgeous than this woman in this movie.
No, she is super pretty. Yeah.
It's undeniable. Even my wife is like, wow, you know, I mean, it's just, what do you say?
Right.
So you get mesmerized, of course, by her
And
little
that's the
hand,
only time
you know?
the whole bar shuts up.
Yeah. And
It's like a religious experience for the people in the bar.
and when they show all of their faces, like Tom Savini's like this, they're all just mesmerized, of course. And then I mean, Quentin Tarantino's a genius. Hey, she sticks her foot in his mouth,
He's
and
selfish, is what you mean.
oh wait, huh? What?
He had to
Man,
suffer through that.
yeah. I mean, he took one for the team, you know. It was a difficult thing for him to have Salma Hayek put her foot in his mouth and then pour some whatever it was, wine or what or champagne. I don't know what it was. It was a bottle of liquor of
Right.
alcohol.
See, and you were watching it as a kid. I was watching it as an adult. When that happened, I was like, what the heck is going on? That was insane. Like, I've never seen that in a movie before.
I was watching like, will you marry me? Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
Such a great and it what it does is it gets you're I mean, as men, you're doing the same thing, but at
Right.
the same time, it's kind of it's bringing down your anxiety, because
Yeah.
the whole movie is like it's been real intense so far. Okay, what's going on? And it's kind of lulling you to sleep. And then
That's a good way to
all of a
put that.
sudden, just the fit hits the shan, as they say. The Cheech Marin comes back in and says, he broke my finger
Right.
and my nose, that type of
Yeah.
thing. And this piece of shit kicked me in the ribs while I was down. And they end up in
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
fight. And
Tarantino. Yeah.
yeah, they stab his hand, and I don't know.
Again, this dude's poor
I
hand.
know, but then you noticed after he stabs, what's his name, Danny Trejo, and he
Mhm.
puts the knife in the table. That's when you see the blood is green, and it's like,
Well, and I also noticed when Tarantino's hand is like a bloody mess, Selma Hayek in the background.
starts hyperventilating. She's like,
Yeah, and that's really what starts that reveal, is
yeah,
all
because
that open blood. Yeah.
and then she transforms, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
to like the craziest looking vampires you've ever seen.
Yeah. And that, I mean, in Conan, you saw when we watched Conan, he turns into a snake. Obviously, it reminded me of that,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't see her turn. I mean, it looks like a snake. I mean, I know it's a vamp, but her, she's like the sultrous high at the top type of thing. So she's almost like another creature, but I know she's a vampire. But that threw me. I was like, what the heck?
Man, I wish I'd have been able to watch it with you.
Guys, I'll have to do that on another one because I was like, what is going on?
Yeah,
That
because
was insane.
I've never been able to watch this movie with anyone who either had never seen it before or didn't know what was
Mm-hmm.
going on. Didn't know that it was a vampire movie. It would be really neat. It's kind of like the Luke, I am your father type thing, or I am your father, whatever. It's
Right.
one of those moments that I wish I can watch somebody experience it for the first time, saying, "Whoa, what the hell's going on?" Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is like a reveal like that. A total twist. And then you see Danny Trejo transform and like a bunch
Yeah,
of other
they all
ones.
start the ones they had just shot start coming back to life, and all of a sudden you're in a vampire movie.
And yeah, I know it's vampire, but like looking at it through my biblical worldview, they're demons. Like Clooney even says they're
Even says
satanic.
it later. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it's literally like, and it is kind of like that because like the lust of that woman, like she's beautiful, Selma Hayek, but then she's really not because they're these ugly vampires that come to life, and they're feeding on them, and that is just
Well, and
that
then you have the scene of just chaos. All the
right.
vampires start, and then there's body parts flying.
Yeah, it's nasty. It's
The
nasty.
band all of a sudden is playing instruments of dead bodies, and
Dude, that was so the people on the stage, I was like, that's where I was like, this part is getting demonic. Like that the people on the stage, like, come on, man. You can't get worse than that.
that's
That
good
was
stuff,
pretty
man.
freaking bad, man.
And
That
then
was
kind of like
bad.
when everything settles down, Sex Machine goes, "Now let's kill that effing band." You know?
Oh, yeah. Towards and I know I'm kind of like, I was like really demonic like that. I was like, gosh, that's a lot. But then I love the team up. Like they're in hell,
Hmm.
they team up. I love that aspect because they're all unlikely heroes. Like, you have the kids, you have Clooney, you have the brother, you have the Sex Machine, and you have the African guy,
Frost.
American guy. Yes.
Frost.
So all these different characters have to team up, and I love that part about it.
Yeah, like when they
You know?
line up and then the vampires
Yeah,
line up and they have
I
like a little
love that.
showdown. It's so stupid. It's so great.
No, but I like that. I was like good versus evil, and like, like they came together. Like I like that part
Hmm.
about it. Um, and yeah, chaos ensues, man. And the Sex Machine and Frost, they're tearing it up. They're doing a great job. And I like how he uses the posts from the table
Hmm.
legs.
To throw the
That's very
different, yeah,
smart.
yeah.
Yeah, that's smart. Um,
They was
and
probably just sitting around, okay, we got to figure out the craziest ways to kill vampires.
right,
So, what are we going to come up with? And they're probably looking around. Oh, look, we got a table here. You got four legs. You can
right.
flip the table over and throw the bodies on. I mean, it's just they just pulled out all the stops. We're just gonna get as wacky as we can with it. Matter of
Yeah, I
fact, when I
mean,
met when I met Fred Williamson Frost,
uh-huh.
it was at a small convention, and I told him that, man, From Dusk Till Dawn is like my favorite horror movie. Now he's 80. What is he? 83 years old, 84. Anyway,
Yeah,
he
because he was
goes,
probably in his 50s easy in this.
he, he goes, there's something wrong with you, man.
That's awesome, man. That he
But he
said
was
that
he
to you.
was he was super cool. Like I talked to because I was there with the 501st, so we were direct. I told this story before. We were directly across from him from his table, so I talked to
Mm.
him on and off all day long. It was really
Oh, that
neat.
must have been surreal.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Dang, that's really cool. Because usually, on those type of things, you get a few minutes, but the fact that you were like a vendor there and you got to talk to him, that's
Yeah,
cool. Um, he pulls the guy's heart out. He had some good kills
yeah,
too.
yeah. And Tom Savini grabs the pencil and stabs the heart.
Yeah, that was clever too because the pencil's wood, so it's like a
Hmm.
stake.
And then
Um,
whenever right before the lineup, when they all started getting up, he like pulls the pencil out and throws the heart over his shoulder, like he's
oh
gonna
yeah, yeah.
he's gonna do battle with a pencil.
Yeah, that's right. He holds it again like he's going to use it again. And man, yeah. And so then they team up and they're
Well,
all
things are
fighting.
starting to settle
And
down, and
Tarantino, yeah.
they're trying to figure out what's going on, and
Mhm.
that's where
They
uh
start talking about all the
oh yeah,
vampire
well
stuff.
they had to put down Tarantino. They had that whole
Hmm.
scene with his brother, and he won't let anybody kill him but me, and I'll give you the peace in death that I could not give you in life, and all that good stuff.
That's poetic, man. That was
Right.
sad.
So he
Yeah.
kills his brother, all that good stuff. Then now it's like, okay, we got to figure out what the hell's going on.
Uh-huh.
So he says, I don't believe in vampires, but what I saw is freaking vampires. So can we
Yeah.
all agree that what we're dealing with is vampires? I love,
Uh-huh. I
I
like
love that
that.
speech.
And then
Um,
they're talking about like, okay, what gets rid of vampires? Crosses, holy water, stakes. Stakes
has
have worked
anybody
good.
read a book on vampires? I mean, like a real book. And Tom Savini goes, like a Time Life book? I'll take
Oh
that as a no.
yeah. That was great because that's obviously not the right audience. Um, but I feel like that was like Tarantino like thinking about it. Like he's like, oh, and then we could talk about like all the different kinds of. I could see him explaining
Mm-hmm.
that in the writers' room. Like then we'll talk about like all these different kind of vampire movies and like the things that worked, things that didn't. Like I could just
Mm-hmm.
see him because I've seen enough interviews with him where he kind of has like that sporadic, like, ooh, that'll be cool. We could talk
Mm-hmm.
about that.
Doesn't silver have something to do with it? I don't know, but I'm pretty
Oh, that was a
sure.
funny joke.
Well, does
Yeah.
anybody have any silver? No. Well, then who cares?
It's like irrelevant. Yeah.
Right. So stop talking about it. Who cares?
That was funny, especially because not that long ago we watched Silver Bullet, so like all that
Yeah,
werewolf
yeah.
stuff was fresh on my mind. Um, and
You still haven't, is it Dog Soldiers you haven't watched yet?
I have not watched that.
Okay. All right. That's my favorite
Um,
werewolf movie.
okay, I think you had mentioned it, but no, I hadn't seen it. So that's your
Okay.
favorite of all of them?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's not a, in my opinion, there isn't a whole lot of good werewolf movies.
Yeah,
This one is like really good. Like
that's cool
really
because
good.
I really was a fan of Silver Bullet. I liked it.
Oh yeah, Silver Bullet's good.
Yeah, I like
So
it a
you
lot.
need to watch Dog Soldiers. I see.
Okay,
I'm starting to see a future in where you and I are discussing Dog Soldiers.
cool, man. I
All
thought you
right.
were going to say where you and I can rule the galaxy.
No, 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 no. And maybe, you know what? We're having a Grove meeting in October in your place.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to bring the Blu-ray with me. I'm just
Oh, that would
saying.
be awesome. Yeah. And it'd obviously be a first time watch for me.
And everybody else at the Grove, because I don't think anybody else has seen it.
Oh, then that's a perfect one to do. Yeah, I'm down, man. That'll be fun. Um, very good.
Okay,
Uh,
so where were we? What's the last thing we
yeah,
talked about?
so we
Oh,
talked about how they're talking about all the different stuff.
right. So they realize, okay, now we got to go around and stake them all, right?
Uh-huh.
So they start going around and staking them, all the dead bodies, because they know eventually
Yes.
they're going to become
Kind of like cleanup.
vampires, right? And one of them bites Sex Machine on the arm.
I thought he was gonna make it out. That
And but it was funny how he kept trying to hide it, and all that
yeah.
good stuff. That was I enjoyed that. They're
And the
looking at him,
girl,
and he's all,
yeah, and he's like he can't breathe. Like
he's
that
like,
was
I'm fine.
that was a quirky, funny moment. I thought that was cool. Um, and is this the part where Clooney? I love what he says because there there's a sermon there where he says, "Whatever is out there trying to kill us is pure evil, straight from hell.
Right.
And if there's a hell, where
And these
those
sons
son
of
of a
bitches are from it, then there's got to be a heaven, Jacob. There's got to be.
yeah, I love that. Like that, like as for me, giving the demonic stuff a hard time, like that's that sermon right there. Like if the opposite exists, the other has to.
Mm-hmm.
And it also wakes up Jacob and he makes a shotgun cross. I thought that was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
awesome. I thought that
Well,
was really cool.
and he asked him, "Are you?" After Jacob punched him because he taunted him about well, our biggest weapon is this preacher here. The problem is his faith isn't what it used to be. And Jacob punches him, and
Yeah.
he comes up and he's like, "I'm not taunting you. I'm just saying we need you. So what are you? Are you a
He's trying to
faithless
wake him up.
preacher? Are you a
Yeah.
mean mother servant of God?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a mean servant of God because he doesn't want to
but
curse.
right, but I like that though. Like I like how Clooney is on the right side of it. He's trying to like stir the beast, for lack of a better
Mhm.
word. He's trying to
Right.
wake him up. And obviously it pays off because he's able to use the cross to ward off
Mhm.
a lot of them. And I love the shotgun thing. I think that's really cool.
So
Um,
after that happens, they're just kind of talking, and then Frost starts
the Vietnam
telling the
speech,
Vietnam War story,
dude.
and that's whenever what's his name, Tom's Sex Machine started to transform, and
Uh-huh.
then while he's in the middle of his
The
little
hands.
speech, Sex Machine bites him.
Yeah, that's when the hands come up, right?
Yeah, yeah, he just kind of he does this
Yeah,
on his
it
shoulder.
almost looks like spider legs. Yeah.
Um, and Frost is like, he freaking bit me. What are you gonna do
Yeah.
about it? And he goes, come
That
on, Sex Machine. Sex machine runs to him and he throws him into the damn door and lets all the bats
all
in.
the bats in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was like Battle of the Titans, those two, because they're both big dudes.
Right.
But yeah, all those freak. Oh, and then Clooney knows what it is before they come in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's
They were
like, it's
like, "What's
bats. I
that
like that moment.
noise?" At
Yeah.
first, I thought it was just birds. It's bats. And then they show all the bats. Yeah, we skipped over that.
Gosh. I mean, and it's just like, what do you do now? I mean, there's freaking thousands of them, it seems like. Um, is that when it kind of goes into the last?
Yeah, so Frost lets them all in, and that's whenever um he
Is that
throws
when they go
Jacob.
down the tunnel?
He throws Jacob across the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So Clooney and the two kids run into the back and lock themselves in that room.
And
And
that's the first hint. I love how that tunnel looks. It's like a corridor. And then they go into that room, and then Clooney puts two and two together and says, "Oh, obviously they've been doing this a long time." And
right.
they take the loot of whoever they've messed with, the truckers. So there's it's a
Just
mini
nothing but
Raiders of the Lost
cargo.
Ark
Yeah,
back
there's
there.
just all kind of cargo back there. They think Jacob's dead at this point.
Right.
Because
Because you
like, my
saw
dad's
him.
out there. Your dad's dead, Kate. It's
Yeah.
then you realize it's not. And I do like the way they distinguished between how long it takes you to transform. So
Okay.
Sex
Yeah.
Machine got bit on the arm. It
Mm-hmm.
took, I guess in the movie, in their time, it took almost an hour for him to change.
Right.
Jacob gets bit on the arm, so he gets around an hour before he
Yeah. It took
changes.
him a while too. Yeah.
Frost got bit on the neck, and he changed almost immediately.
Uh-huh.
So they kind of separate how long it takes for you to transform, I guess, depending on where you get bit.
Yeah. I guess it takes longer the further it is from like this area, but
Correct. The further from your head, maybe, or something, or your heart,
yeah,
the
no, that's
longer it
cool. My
takes.
first watch, I didn't even think about that because I was so like,
Oh,
I was just waiting for it to happen. But yeah, that is that. I do like how they did that too. It takes longer if it's like in a
and look,
extremity.
it may not have been done on purpose. It may have just been, people aren't even going to notice, and they just kind of rolled with it. But to me, it seems like between Sex Machine and Jacob, it both took them a long time to change after they got bit on the arm, as opposed to Frost, who got bit on the neck, changed almost immediately.
I think that's probably on purpose.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. Now, if it would have taken Frost longer to turn, then maybe they weren't paying attention, but he turns quick. You're right. And this is kind of when we get to the last showdown, right?
Yeah, Jacob comes up with the cross, and they hear him shooting and all that good stuff. He
and the kid
convinces
has the
them.
water gun. Blessed.
Well,
with
no, this is before that. Jacob made the cross when he comes up from the bar, and he retreats into the room, and they let him in, and that's where Clooney says, this has been going on for a while, and Jacob's like, well, let's see what we can find and take it to him as long as I'm alive, type of thing. And they come up with their different weapons. Kate gets the crossbow. The boy Scott gets the squirt gun,
like a super soaker.
Yeah, super soaker. George Clooney gets a freaking a jackhammer, right?
Yeah,
that's what it is, and he puts a stake in it.
Yeah, at the end, that was pretty creative.
And Jacob gets he's got his shotgun.
Yeah.
And he cut a bunch of crosses in the they cut crosses in the heads of the slug of the bullets and all that good stuff.
Yeah. That was all cool. I like how we had that downtime before like this final showdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then, basically they get ready, they pop the door open, and I was I was like, man, maybe they should have stayed in that room and just kept hitting them in the hallway, because it's like, you know what I mean? It's like easier targets than if they...
The fatal funnel, as what they call it. There's only one way in. It's narrow. It's the fatal funnel. They could have just picked them off, maybe.
That's what I was thinking, because once they go back in that room, it's like they're all on their own again because they're all surrounded. But, anyway, it was still a really good final showdown. And when these people are starting to die, I was like, I don't know are they any of them making it out?
Right.
Like, because once Clooney's brother dies, and once we lose the other two big guys. I'm like, man, anybody could go.
Well, Jacob's gonna die.
Jacob's going to die. So he's just a matter of time. And then the next person that dies, I think
Scott.
it's the boy, right?
Scott, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
He
the
goes
only
out
two,
pretty bad.
yeah, his is pretty bad.
I think he got the worst death because he's got, not only did he get bit by his dad, then like those three.
They all start gnawing on him, yeah.
Yeah, he got it bad.
How do you like the way Sex Machine, after he rips his head off, turns into like a giant rat thing?
That was, wow. That was weird. I was not expecting that.
Yes, like, what? We got rat vampires now? What the hell's going on? It's great.
And it looked good. I mean, it was obviously practical. And with the dim lighting, like I was like, what am I looking at? That was another part. I'm like, that's why I thought it was like, this is literally hell, because now I'm just seeing creatures. Like, it was insane. That really threw me, man. And then
I feel like I'm exposing you to terrible things.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's a good message in there, like there's something in there holding this whole crazy thing together. And then it's funny, at this point, Clooney is like a good guy. Yeah, but at the beginning you wouldn't have said that, but now I'm like, okay, this dude's like, he's got like some kind of a more.
He's seen the light. What did he say? I've always said that God can kiss my ass, but I've changed my tune.
Yeah, he has a change
in the
of
last
heart
like
too.
20 minutes.
Yeah, and so then
they have the final showdown and all this, and then it's down to Kate and Seth, and
yes,
they're like,
and I like how they're like. I like how they're back to back. It's like, it's a final showdown. And she's like, do we save the last bullets for us? And I love how Clooney is like, heck no. You take out as many of them as you can.
Right.
And basically, if we go, but we're not going to go out like that. Yeah. We're going to go down swinging.
So then they notice the sunlight and how it hurts them. And he says, shoot more holes. So she shoots a few more holes.
And then in my head, I'm like, dang, this has been going on all night. They've been fighting for at least 7 or 8 hours. In movie time.
And then, hello, I'm looking for my friend Seth.
And I was like, that freaking dude set him up. But then that's not really what happened.
No. So they shoot down the door, and the disco light reflects all the sunlight, or the disco light reflects all the sunlight. They all blow up.
And I like how Cheech and his guys see this happening. Yeah. So they don't just think they're crazy. They saw it too. And Cheech goes, the end of it.
What were they? Psychos?
Psychos don't blow up in the sunlight or something. Yeah.
Like, do they look like psychos? Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give a shit how crazy they are.
And he's so mad. I mean, because he's on an adrenaline high, so like he's been up all night, And
Cheech is like, how can I make it up to you?
And then they negotiate and he gives him a little bit more. That was funny.
25.
And Clooney takes a minute. He's like, that dude, like, really? And then he's like, all right, 20% or whatever he says.
15% for my stay in El Rey. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I liked that. And then he throws the girl, Kate, wants to go with him, and he's like, no. He kind of wants her to go her own way, and he throws her money.
He says, do you know where El Rey is, Kate? No. And he gives her the money. He says, go home, Kate.
Yeah.
Like, I've put you through enough. I'm not going to take you to the land of scum and villainy, obviously, is where he was going.
Nice. Yeah, and I liked that about Clooney, like how, he let her go at this point, and they survived the night together. That was something. So then they go their separate ways. And one of my favorite things about this movie is that last shot. It's very, very Planet of the Apes.
Because I remember going, whoa, when I saw that. I'm like, holy crap. I never would have guessed that, it would be on a Mayan temple.
Dude, yeah. So it's on that. So it zooms out and you see the backside, and it's kind of carved into the mountain, so the people in the front don't see it, but you see all the semi trucks busted up and stuff. And then it's a freaking top of a Mayan temple. Then the whole thing makes sense now, because now you realize they were sacrificing back in the day. This temple's doing it in a 90s modern way, luring them in. And then that I was like, what the heck? See, that things like that make it more than just a slasher horror, whatever, like bloody mess. Those little nuggets, like that blew my mind. It was just like on Planet of the Apes when you see the Statue of Liberty at the end, because, they were there the whole time. Oh, they were there.
Man,
that temple being sacrificed.
That blew my mind because I knew nothing about Planet of the Apes, and I watched it as an adult. It just happened to come. I think we talked about it. Happened to come on AMC, and I watched it, and having no idea that they were on Earth the whole time, and it kind of it blew my mind at the end.
I watched it when I was in high school, but I had kind of seen some stuff, but I didn't know how it connected. And by the time I got to the end of the movie, I was like, oh, so that's that. So I kind of knew, but not exactly.
Yeah.
But that's really cool that you went into it fresh. Like all those years, it didn't get spoiled.
But yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn, man, I love this movie.
It's something, man. I'll show my kids when they're 40.
And then we'll go to church. Get some spiritual healing afterwards. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a wild ride. It has heart.
And that's
surprisingly, it has heart.
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliantly written movie. Of course, it's Quentin Tarantino. I mean, his writing is always great. The premise is original enough to where there's nothing else like it. I mean, think about it. Are there any other movies like this? Not that I've seen.
No.
I mean, and you have some that try to kind of be like it. Bordello of Blood, the Tales from the Crypt movie, they kind of, and it came out like, I think Bordello of Blood came out like the next year. So they kind of tried to rip off From Dusk Till Dawn a little bit. They even used the squirt guns with holy water and all that stuff.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But this, I don't know, it's just so good.
Well, and it's a mashup thing too, because you might see some movies that are kind of like the first 45 minutes, but nothing where it's these two things together. It's very
like two genres of movies.
Yeah, it's like two genres mashed together, and it's really cool. Like by the end of the movie, you're like Clooney, but at the beginning, you're like he's a scumbag. But it's a ride. It's a cool ride. And I love that it's kind of like on the run road trip movie turned into
a siege movie.
Yeah, siege movie. That I think will make it timeless because it's a fresh story. I like that part about it. It was well done.
This is one of those movies where I consider it a perfect movie. Like there's really nothing I would change about it. I think it's just a great, perfect horror movie, just like it is.
Yeah.
It gets a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's a good movie. Like it's well done. A ton of surprises. There's a consistent storytelling. The characters are good. There's surprises in there. I love that ending shot. It's up there with me too. I don't know. If I want to try to give it, you say it's a 10 out of 10.
Oh, it's a 10 out of 10. Easy.
Yeah. It's because it's like out of my realm, but I can't disagree with you. It is a very good movie. It's well done. I mean, I guess I'll say a 9 out of 10 just because I don't want to copy you, but it's up there. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I recommend anybody who can handle a horror movie has to watch this. I mean, if you like horror movies and you've never seen this, I question your patriotism. Like, I don't understand how you can like horror movies and not see this. And surprisingly, there are lots of people, and some of it is they're younger people and the movie is a little bit older. And
right. They haven't discovered it yet.
Yeah, some people that I work with, they're like, what's that? And I'm like, jeez. You've never even heard of it,
But I like I said, I had heard of it and stuff. I just had never actually like sat down and watched it. But I feel like there's enough action in it too, where it would get action fans as well. Like it kind of crosses more than just horror,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Tarantino, because Tarantino doesn't do horror, but he wrote this. You know what I mean? It's kind of, I feel like it's like crossroads, like action fans, Tarantino fans, and horror fans
Yeah.
can kind of all come
Well,
together.
same thing with Rodriguez, though. This and
Yeah.
Planet Terror, I think, are the only two horror movies he's ever done. Everything else is
That's
either
true.
action or you got Spy Kids, and now he's doing Star Wars stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
aside from this and Planet Terror, that's the only two horror movies that he's directed that I know of.
That's
So
just,
it's out of his realm too. But like you said, it has a lot of action in it. It's not just
it
a
does.
straight horror movie. It's like an action horror
Right.
movie, you know.
Yeah. And that set, like all that was practical, like that
Mhm.
added to the realism of it too. Like I appreciated all the practical stuff.
Oh, also, so my microphone. Whenever they introduce Tom Savini and they show his, his little penis revolver, the guy whose beer he stole, remember with his
Yeah, he
whip,
lassos the beer and pulls it.
that's Greg Nicotero, who is also a makeup and special effects
Oh,
guy. He was big time on The Walking Dead. He directed several episodes of The Walking Dead and was one of the main special effects makeup guys on The Walking Dead.
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And
Yep, he
that
was
was
Tom
obviously,
Savini protege.
wow. But at that time, what had he? Do you
He
know what
he
he had
was
done?
doing like I think he's credited in this movie for makeup and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Wow,
one of, like I said, he was a protege of Tom Savini. But
that's
now
cool.
he's, it's been 30 years, so he's up there now, and he was one of the main front runners of The Walking Dead.
Gotcha. That's crazy. And yeah, and the fact that this is 30 years old too, almost somewhere
Yep,
in there.
30 years. Yeah. Well, this came out in what, 94, right? Or 90? No,
I
this
think
is
you said
96.
96.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
28 years. But still
Dang, that's crazy.
getting up there.
Is this a movie that has like a lot of good special features, like and things like that?
Yeah, I remember I've watched the behind the scenes and stuff. You get to see
Yeah.
Clooney wrestling the big rat and stuff like that. They kind of show how
Oh,
they
that's
do
cool.
some of that stuff. Yeah, but I haven't dug out the DVD in a long time. So it's
Is
been a
it, do
while.
they have, there's no 4K?
Not yet. That's what I said. I'm holding out. I don't have a Blu-ray of this. I'm holding out for a
Yeah.
4K. They announced it like 2 years ago that they were
Huh.
doing it, but it has not been released yet. So I don't want to buy the Blu-ray because I'm
And
holding out
then,
for the 4K. Right.
yeah, this would be a good candidate for that.
Oh, absolutely. I have an HD digital copy that I got for five
Mm,
bucks, but I'm holding out for the 4K, the
yeah.
physical media.
Yeah, because I just streamed it, but I mean, getting a high quality cut would be nice.
Mhm.
With like the bonus and all that. Because now I appreciate the movie, so I would like to go in there and kind of see some of the behind the scenes stuff. Hear them talk about it,
Right.
their perspective and stuff. So that's cool.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I guess that'll about do it.
Yeah.
You could finally watch From Dusk Till Dawn, and it was a success. So I'm happy. I'm very
Yeah.
happy.
No, it was good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's hopefully our next Cujo.
Oh man, it's still every week. Every week, it's one of my most watched videos. I don't know why. It's something with the algorithm.
That's so
Cujo.
funny.
It's
Of
nuts.
all of them, that it's funny that that's the one.
I mean, the majority of my videos get like 30, 40, 50 views or whatever. Cujo's in like what, almost 10,000.
Yeah,
I have
I
no
think
idea
it's.
why.
I know that's crazy.
It's in the
It's so
thousands
funny.
because it gets like I don't know, like 300 views a week, something crazy like that. It's
That's so
still it's a
funny.
mystery to me.
I know. That's interesting. So we'll see, but that's funny.
All right, man. Well, that'll about do it. And we will discuss what we're going to do next. But until then, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Look out for vampires.